What up, y'all? Uncle Shady at the mic. It's been a while. I believe it was Steel Luther sent me this a couple days ago. I'd never seen it. Looked interesting, so we're going to go over it and a couple other things. Shout out to Steel Luther for sending me this.
A lot can be said about the rap rock band hailing from California. Many say they were cringy and corny with their lyrics at times, others say they were a nice guilty pleasure to listen to every now and then, and many others credit this band for helping them through very tough times, whether it be through laughs or some meaningful words they really needed to hear at the time. While there's lots of split feelings on the group, one thing I can say for certain is that Hollywood Undead has been a part of my life for more than half a decade now. I discovered the band back in the summer of 2014 through less than desirable means. Notes from the Underground had been out for about a year now, and I was frantically looking up everything there was to know about the band, from all the members and every single song they ever put out. Fascinated by their look and how they wore masks, because it was so different to anything I had ever seen before. I was a 13-year-old kid listening to Skillet at the time, so these masks really took me aback. I still remember the Day of the Dead single dropped on YouTube and losing my mind over it. I was practically obsessed with these six guys.
Have you guys seen this?
And when I say obsessed, I mean it. I have these shitty drawings I would do in class whenever I got bored, where I fucked up Deuce's mask. I have these cool little clay figures of their masks that a friend gave to me for Christmas. Whole notebooks where I would write out lyrics to their songs. My first profile picture on Facebook was J3T from the American Tragedy album, with my cover being the Day of the Dead photo shoot. Hell, even the mask in my profile picture is inspired off of J-Doc's Swan Song / MySpace era mask and Johnny's MySpace era mask. Suffice it to say, I was a big HU fan growing up. They were an icon of the scene in emo culture and a guilty pleasure for those around the time in the mid 2000s and MySpace era, with people regularly bumping to Black Dahlia everywhere I go and young. I was 13 when I first heard Lion and got into them, and I am now 19, and I've kind of grown out of my HU phase, but I still look back fondly on those days and love giving them a listen to every now and then.
Notice he said my Black Dahlia.
Chances are you have heard of and are familiar with the Iceberg format, a tier list pertaining to one subject with each tier getting more and more obscure the further you go down. Out of sheer curiosity, I wondered if anyone had ever made an HU Iceberg, and to my absolute surprise, someone had. This list was made by SopGuy68 and posted to the r/Hollywood Undead subreddit, so full credit goes to them for the actual iceberg. After discovering this list, I thought it would be a pretty fun idea to revisit my middle school days and explain, or at the very least try to explain, every entry on this list. Without further ado, I give you the Hollywood Undead Iceberg.
My legs are dangling off the edge. The bottom of the bottle is my only friend. I think I'll slip my wrist again and I'm gone.
Deuce. Starting off with a pretty basic one here and pretty much universal knowledge to any HU fan, Aaron Deuce Ehrlichman was a former member of HU and was actually a founding member alongside J-Dog and Shady Jeff. Deuce played keyboards and bass for the band and worked as a songwriter, his primary role usually relegated to singing the hooks and choruses to many of the band's songs. Deuce was kicked out of the band in early 2010 for a multitude of reasons, and the whole Deuce situation is one big old he said she said deal, with both parties telling their own story. Charlie claims that Deuce used to have a personal assistant which would cost the band $800 a week to have around, and also claimed Deuce would no-show events, forcing him to fill in for him.
That's what. There was one day I was just walking through Hollywood and ran into George and Jarrell. It had been like maybe a couple years since I left the band, and I randomly saw them walking, and I ran up behind them, all scary sounding. They shit their pants. It was funny, but that's what. When I saw them that day, they told me that story. They said that Aaron had just continued his ascent into being a prima donna, and basically he hadn't been showing up to rehearsals. He had an assistant that cost a bunch of money, and then he didn't show up to tour, which is like, it's not. And I'm pretty sure that happened. So it's like, it's not good to not show up to tour.
Other reasons, including a massive ego, are also what led to his eventual departure. Deuce, on the other hand, claims his personal assistant was Jimmy Yuma, a personal friend of Deuce and future Nine Lives member, who Deuce paid for out of his own pocket.
He said that you needed a personal assistant on tour.
He's right here.
And that
This is who they were talking about. This guy.
Yeah, I rolled up.
Yeah.
Deuce wanted his
Yuma.
equipment set up. He paid for me out of his own pocket, so that's his personal.
they said that they had to pay for it.
Oh yeah, that was when I was like grabbing them beers and setting up their equipment all day.
He also claims to have missed the shows because their manager had told them that the band had broken up and that the tour had been canceled.
And they said they went to the airport to fly out for our next tour, and he didn't show up. And we were like, what the fuck do we do?
The manager said the band's over. It's all over. They were like, everything's over.
That's true.
The whole band's done, and it looks like it is. I guess they were right. It's over.
Our management sent a text basically saying that exact shit. I got it. So that's real.
Hollywood Undead was over?
Basically, we were lied to, and they're like, it's all over. Yeah.
Yeah, the label lied to management, or the management lied somehow, but it all came down like basically you can't go on tour.
Yeah. And now the band is broken up. You know, they broke up.
Another claim made by Deuce is that he was threatened with being kicked out of the tour if he didn't stop using Twitter after he had been connecting with fans. If things weren't already complicated enough, Johnny, during an interview with Loudwire, said that the whole Deuce missing a tour thing was not true and is just a rumor, and that Deuce and the group had already been going different ways musically, and there was conflict between the two parties, so who knows who's telling the truth at this point.
Yeah, that's not what he told me.
Hello, this is me during editing. So I went back to rewatch the Loudwire interview with Johnny, and I think I misinterpreted what he said. I think what he was trying to say was that the rumor that I mentioned was about Deuce being kicked out solely for missing that flight.
In early 2010, Deuce was voted out of the group because he didn't arrive at the airport.
No, it wasn't just that. That was probably the straw that broke the camel's back. The problems with Aaron and everyone else started off. We're always there, actually. It didn't even start off anywhere, but it got really bad because Aaron just, went crazy.
Airport when the band was scheduled to leave for a tour.
No, that is absolutely not true.
Yeah.
This was already on the way out. We were moving different directions musically. That's really what it all came down to. And then he was just, we had personal conflicts and stuff, which are never healthy for touring. You have to be, so it's regular band stuff.
Yeah, every band will fight. Anyone will tell you that.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I just love the fact that it's like, oh, he missed a flight.
If that could happen, I would miss every flight. I would be running late on purpose.
Get kicked out of the band.
Please.
I guess Deuce did miss a bunch of shows, not flight shows. I'm guessing Deuce did actually miss those shows, but the rumor is
that was pretty sincere, actually.
That he was kicked out solely for that reason when it was already like a growing and festering problem.
George is a genuinely funny dude
at the time, so slight correction on my part. Anyways, back to the Iceberg. The whole situation is really messy, and people to this day still argue over which side is telling the truth. After his departure, Deuce would start his solo career, which leads us into Nine Lives crew. Nine Lives was a side project started by Deuce early on in HU, and after his departure from the band, Nine Lives became a full-on legitimate group/clothing brand. Deuce described them as a musical gang of friends instead of a band, with prominent members being the aforementioned Jimmy Yuma, Deuce's sister Ariana Chloe, The Truth, Gadget, Ty
So just like Hollywood Undead?
Gaddis, and James Clopple, among others. If I'm remembering correctly, Nine Lives was clowned upon a lot in its earlier days. It was essentially Deuce transitioning from one rap rock band that wore masks to another rap rock band that wore masks. They also took popular HU songs and remixed them from Undead, which became Nine Lives.
Oh, God. Well, and you guys know, I didn't know who did that. That sounds horrible. And you guys know, I came up with the idea for the Crazy Train keyboards. So it was like, I came up with that idea, left the band. then they put it out. Then Aaron redid it and put it out again. Like, geez, like, come up with your own ideas.
To Dead End Ditches, which became When We Ride.
Snitches again. Like, I don't think Deuce actually knows what the word snitches means.
What it is, I'm best in the biz. Black ski mask in the sig. 2 clips, 2 sips. Off of that rose. Hit my man Jose with the coke weight. OC in a bump with a creek create you. Be softer than the sea breeze.
Is this 2 different songs?
And we see more dome, more blood, Deuce go solo. Drop y'all almost so fly. Out come the parachute. I'm always first to bail, never scared to shoot. The truth, you know I'm out for the loot. Headed to the top, we moving through the roof. Shorty got her top down just like the coupe. Fuck you, this is not lies. Real life, my ties. One slip and you all die. That's when we ride on bitches. You fucking faggot snitches. So don't you try with packing knives. We leave you dead.
This coupled with the fact that a lot of 9 Live songs were disses towards HU, with HU just kind of not caring, didn't help. It's debatable whether or not Lights Out was a diss towards Deuce, but even so, they did the one song and moved on, whereas Deuce never really did. And with HU moving on with American Tragedy and Notes from the Underground hitting number 4 and number 2 on Billboard, with 9 Lives hitting number 38 and Invincible struggling to even get released, it's easy to see which group came out on top in the long run. Undead Origins. Undead Origins was a comic book released by Heavy Metal Comics in December of 2017 and was written by Paul Aller. It was supposed to be a tie-in with the 5 album, which also dropped around the same time. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I had no idea this was a thing prior to research, and that's funny because I literally have the t-shirt that has the cover of the comic book on it, but had no idea that that's what it was from when I got it. According to the comic books wiki, the story follows Hollywood Undead's members as they discover a deep conspiracy all across Los Angeles. People are acting unnaturally happy and compliant. People in the counterculture are suddenly fitting into society, finding square jobs and loving them. Is it clones, robots, alien replacements? The crew discovers that in reality, it's a system of mental and physical alteration funded by a powerful tech mogul turned city councilman. And what's more, the victims aren't victims at all. They're undergoing the process voluntarily. But our guys won't stand for that. They work to destroy the facility assisted by like-minded people from across the city. That plot sounds corny as hell, and this is literally on par with the Ultimate Warrior comic book in terms of levels of just weirdness. Unfortunately, I believe the comic book is sold out indefinitely, but if you want to read this thing, be my guest in looking for a copy for it. SCAVA. SCAVA is a song off the American Tragedy Deluxe Edition album and appears as the 18th song on the track list and features vocals from J3T and Daniel. According to J-Dog, the song came about when one night the guys were all sat in a room and started discussing the end of the world. American Tragedy was released during 2011, and Johnny's verses were written during a tour with Avenged Sevenfold during that same year. At the time, the whole Mayan calendar world ending in 2012 thing was going on, and that is what brought about the conversation in the first place. I have no idea why this is in the Iceberg. I don't recall SCAVA being wildly popular or well known amongst HU fans, at least not to the level of, say, Bullet or We Are. The only reason I can think of it being here is the popular fan theory that the song's name, SCAVA, is a combination of Scarlet and Ava, the daughters of Danny and Johnny. The theory was never confirmed though, however, both Johnny and Danny have dedicated the song to the daughters, lending more credence to the theory. Deadbite. This entry can be referring to two different things. The first one being the HU song by the same name, which was on the Notes from the Underground album and first on the track list. It received a music video in 2013 and features RJ Mitt, most notable for his role on Breaking Bad as Walter Jr. This music video is also well known for featuring popular adult film actress Lisa Ann and some not so subtle nods to her profession. The other thing this entry could be referencing is HU's new mascot, I guess? Yeah, I don't know what this thing is. The earliest reference to Dead Bite that I could find is his Instagram account, which posted pictures of the guys on a bulletin board and him showing off his mask in a dark room on October 15th, 2020. The first clear picture of Dead Bite we got was posted by the Scene for Dummies account on October 31st on Twitter. The mask seems to be a fusion of everyone's masks, and in theory that sounds really cool, but when you actually look at it, yeah, it looks kind of weird and goofy. So from what I can make of it, it's one mask from every album. J-Dog's 5 mask, Johnny's Day of the Dead mask, Danny's Notes from the Underground mask, and I want to say Charlie's American Tragedy white bandana, and that looks nothing like Funny Man Swan Song's mask apart from the logo, but for this theory to work, I'm just going to say it is. I know this is probably isn't the case, but in my headcanon, that little mouth section that is frowning on the left side is supposed to be the Curls' inclusion. Hello again, editing me. You're probably going to see me a lot throughout this video. I went back because like I said in the intro, I kind of fell out of my HU phase. I stopped keeping up with them around the time Empire dropped. 5 was the last one I really fully listened to. I've heard, I believe, the singles from Empire Volume 1 and maybe a couple from Volume 2. So I have not seen the music video for Heart of the Champion when I wrote this. And in the music video you see the masks that the mask that it's the Dead Bite mask is supposed to be made out of. I can't remember them off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure it's Funny's 5 mask, J-Dog's 5 mask, Danny's Notes from the Underground mask. I think it was Johnny's 5 mask as well. I don't remember, and I think it was just, I don't know which Charlie bandana it was, because he just changes them to a slightly darker shade every fucking album. So there's a correction for me once more. Back to the Iceberg. Dead Bite was heavily featured on HU's official YouTube channel, and his mask being put on all the lyric videos for Empire Volume 2. We still don't know who Dead Bite is. Many people thought it was Danny based on the blonde hair in the photo. Other outlandish theories include the Curls, who will be making a return, and even Deuce. The most plausible theory, however, is a new 6th member we never met before, is similar in vein to Tortilla Man from Slipknot. Until we find out who he is, people just seem to view him as a mascot meant to represent the older HU, especially since the guys have pretty much stopped wearing masks since the start of the Empire album. J-Dog's Notes from the Underground mask.
That's a really
As you may know, after each album cycle, the members of HU like to switch out.
The masks were a big part of the appeal. And originally we were supposed to wear them all the time, like Slipknot. And we had that going for a while until I left. Then they, started, proudly showing their faces. But I liked it when y'all didn't know what we looked like.
Got their masks for new ones. The most popular among these by far would have to be J-Dog's Notes from the Underground gas mask. When you think of HU, you think of this mask. I have friends who don't even listen to HU, and they like this mask. People who I have introduced to HU claim J-Dog as their favorite member simply for this mask.
When I think of HU, I think of Charlie Scene's Del Taco bag.
And to be fair, this mask is really fucking cool. Do I think it's highly glorified and slightly overrated? Yes, but that doesn't stop it from being really cool. The way it lights up just looks so natural and cool compared to, say, Johnny's Notes from the Underground mask, and it looks simply amazing in the We Are music video. Anywhere else, it looks kind of weird without the hoodie and doesn't look as great chinless, but hey, neither do any of the other masks. This mask is probably my second or third favorite overall next to Johnny's and the Crow's American Tragedy mask, and I'll probably have to do a mask ranking video at some point. Cringe fan base. Well, this one's pretty self-explanatory now, isn't it? As someone who has been a fan of this band for 6 years now, I am fully aware of this. HU has always been known to be pretty cheesy at times, and their fan base has always been cringeworthy. And to be fair, that can be said about any band's fan base, or any fan base for that matter. But when you get shit like this, or even this, it's not hard to see why the fan base is usually the most hated aspect of HU sometimes. Man, looking at some of those pictures started giving me some flashbacks. Thank God I was never like that, am I right? Anyways, moving on.
seems like this should
The
be
Golden
level
Beast.
3.
The Golden Beast is a nickname given to
level,
Danny
really.
during his early days in HU. Before he was an official member and was just touring with them, the fans had no idea who he was, so they simply called him the Golden Beast due to his golden mask, until he was revealed to be Daniel Murillo, and much later on when he took on the stage name of Danny. And considering Danny could do this back in his Laurent Drive days, I think that's a fairly accurate
From Victorville.
Myspace era. HU was formed back in 2005 and was really a product of its time. Back in those days, before they were signed to any sort of record label,
That was my spot in the Hollywood Hills. That's like my favorite picture of that whole era. Shout out to Tyler Shields, whether he's alive still or not, I don't know, but that was a pretty cool picture he took.
really a product of its time. Back in those days, before they were signed to any sort of record label, the guys would post their songs onto Myspace and quickly became famous on the site. Since they didn't have any label backing them up, their masks were super home.
This is the this picture is the Myspace festival at what was it? The stadium, Dodger Stadium. This is me. Tom from Tom from MySpace. Maddie and everyone else. I think that might be Tila right there. I don't remember her being there, but that looks like something she would have worn back then.
Homemade. Some of these older masks have a real novelty charm to them.
That was the first picture, one of the first few pictures of us on a stage.
Just grabbing what was lying around and creating your own identity from it, such as Day 3 Tees, Deuces, or J-Dogs.
Of course, except for number 5, where we had the stage down on Hollywood and Highland.
Then you have the Curls, Funny Man, and let us never forget Del Taco Bag Charlie.
Yeah.
Speaking of which,
That was the best one.
Del Taco. Del Taco is an American fast food chain founded and primarily stationed in California. When HU was first formed, Charlie was flat broke. He was so poor that he had to move back in with his mother at one point.
I got so broke and living in Hollywood that I had to move back in with my mom. So that's where I live now, my mom's house in the back room.
She had a pretty nice house.
Hidden
I
away.
don't think that was that bad. I think he's playing it up.
That's something that people have the misconception of, I think, is that if you're in a band, then automatically you're rich or something. And I'm more broke than I was before I was in the band.
And due to this lack of money,
Yeah, that was getting handed a bunch of money when you're broke, and then having, people around you, everyone around you telling you that you're going to be rich the rest of your life, kind of makes you not really hold on to that money. That's why it's dumb. All these you see on like TV, like all these rappers and rock stars and stuff driving Lambos and stuff. That's just like the dumbest thing you could ever do. If I could go back in a time machine and do it all again, gold was like $300 at that time. I probably would have put it all into gold instead of buying a BMW M3 and wasting it all on alcohol, rent in the Hollywood Hills, and whatever the hell else I spent money on back then. But it was pretty funny because we got our signing bonus all at the same time, obviously, and we ran out of money. Everyone was talking shit like they were going to save and all this stuff. And then like everyone ran out of money about the same time, which was like 3 months later. We spent quite a lot of money in a very short amount of time. And then you're broke. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm a rock star. I'm not going to go get some job, at least like our mentality back then. So we were always broke. We just had money for like a couple months and then we were broke again. And then it was like 4 years until they put out Swan Song. So it's like, the money goes quick, especially when you think that you're going to have money the rest of your life. That's why I couldn't hang.
money, Charlie could not afford to buy a mask like the other guys, so he simply grabbed a Del Taco bag, poked a few holes in it, and called it a day.
I used to wear a Del Taco bag. It's a fast food restaurant because I couldn't afford a Jason mask like these guys did. So I just popped the bag on after I had a couple delicious tacos.
Looking at this thing for the first time, yeah, I thought it was goofy as fuck, but when you learn the story behind it, it adds another layer to it and kind of the story of the band as a whole. The server. Sticking with the MySpace days before George went
I thought this was like an actual like edited together thing. I didn't know some kid playing video games just talking.
by the name Johnny Three Tears, he was
Yeah,
known
the
as the
server.
server. You can hear Shady Jeff call him that in the intro to the old version of Bottle and a Gun.
It was once a dark, lonely summer's eve on the lonely streets of Sunset, when the Lord called upon 7 crazy MCs. G-Dog, Johnny seen the server, the girls, Shady Jeff, and the producer.
Hey, man, you about the homie funny, man.
Funny calls him it in the old version of number 5.
Can't stop, won't stop, trying to make the booty drop. Can't stop, won't stop, server make the booty drop. Can't stop, won't stop, Jay make the booty drop. Can't stop, won't stop, Shady make the booty drop. Can't stop, won't stop, girls make the booty drop. Can't stop, won't stop, funny make the booty drop. Can't stop, won't stop, let me see the pants drop. Producers on the top.
And J-Dog calls him that in the old version of The Natives.
And the server's got a mind like a Caesar. He writes lyrics, eats grapes, and fucks at his...
Three
I always
Tears.
forget about
Sticking with
that
George,
song.
we already discussed how he went by the name The Server
It's a
in the
good
olden
song.
days, but where did the name Johnny Three Tears come from? Well, the first half, Johnny, which is the name that he really liked, and the second half came from a band that he used to be in called, you guessed it, Three Tears. The band apparently consisted of Johnny and J-Dog on vocals, Deuce on clean vocals, and Charlie on guitar. It was formed in 2001, but disbanded shortly after HU was formed in 2005. According to the HU wiki, no songs by the band were ever posted. However, the existence of at least 3 songs are known due to Johnny posting about them on Instagram. Those songs are titled Happiness, I Love You, and 151 Whiskey. I myself have not been able to find said post. However, if anyone would like to look for it, be my guest. Hammer and sickle tattoo. I'm surprised I never really noticed this one until it was pointed out to me, but put simply, Deuce has a hammer and sickle tattoo on his left hand. There it is, just kind of sitting there, and I never really noticed it before. This did spark a pretty dumb joke that Deuce was a communist. However, Deuce himself has said that the tattoo was a callback to his Russian heritage. Albums always delayed.
Yeah, but
Again, the
not
title
Russian.
kind of tells you everything you need to know
Soviet.
here. Now, I myself have never
He's got
really
a
ever
weird-
felt like the
That's a straight up communist. Like, if he was Russian, he should have gotten like a Russian flag, or like, I don't know, sometimes they have family crests or something like that, or something pertaining to Russia, not a communist hammer and sickle. It's pretty funny.
HU albums were
That's Aaron. He doesn't, he's not
constantly delayed.
all there.
Maybe I'm just a patient guy and I didn't really keep up with updates, so I never really noticed. The only album releases I have been around for were Day of the Dead, 5, and New Empire. So I don't know if those albums were delayed or what have you. The longest gap of time between albums was 3 years, 2008 to 2011, and that was from Swan Songs to American Tragedy. And we all know what went down in between those albums, so I don't really blame them if they were delayed. Every other album took about 2 years to drop, and like I said, I didn't pay too much attention to the band updates and such, so I don't know if they were supposed to come out sooner than that. The only other thing I can think of is that while Notes from the Underground was out, we got teasers for a new album titled Hell is Empty and 6 Devils Are Here, and didn't get fuck all for a bit. The album later turned out to be Day of the Dead, and like I said, came out 2 years later, which in my opinion isn't too long of a wait, considering bands like Skillet, who take 4 years to drop an album, or even Slipknot, who take upwards to 5 to 6 years to drop an album. Jumping Deuce. In 2012, a whole 2 years after his departure from HU, Deuce claimed to have been jumped outside of the Angels and Kings nightclub after a performance on May 25th. He cited Funny Man and J-Dog as the main perpetrators, with J3T being involved in some kind of stalking situation, and my memory's kind of hazy on that. And obviously they responded, with Funny Man stating that he had never jumped anyone in
I don't really think this happened. A bunch of people told me this happened, like y'all, but I don't really think this happened. If anyone jumped Aaron, Aaron would be dead. Aaron weighs 80 pounds and would have been smushed by any of those dudes. So jumping him, a bunch of dudes, Aaron would be dead. So I don't really think that would happen.
his entire life, with J-Dog and the Crows backing him up. Deuce's claims have never been proven to be true, and the band doesn't talk about the situation for legal reasons. J-Dog beat up Jeffree Star. Although the last entry about assault was never proven to be true, this one was. Jeffree Star, yes, that Jeffree Star, was a good friend of Deuce back in the day and was actually
Nope.
featured in, without a doubt, in my humble opinion, of course, the worst.
Aaron didn't want anything to do with Jeffree Star in the beginning. Aaron made me have Jeffree Star dressed like a boy to come over to his house because he was too embarrassed. It was only when Aaron left the band and started to need to build clout for his own band that he reached out to the same people that I reached out to that made Hollywood Undead big. Aaron saw how many friends we got because I arranged Jeffree to be on one of our songs. And so he tried to use that again after he left HU. Which I don't know how good the song was or how much bigger he got because of it, but Jeffree Star was integral to Hollywood Undead getting big because he gave us probably the biggest boost out of anything outside of just the organic intrigue of a bunch of goofy dudes wearing masks doing white boy metal hip hop.
Ever Hollywood Undead song, Turn Off the Lights.
Bitches get mad that I swallow more cum than they can. Wanna give me a hand, cause I'll disco your dad. Then he'll come on my face before I go on my face. Every guy wants my lipstick smear out his nutsack. Let's play Barbie and shit can't stick in my ass. Or you can be R. Kelly and pee on me. Just don't get it on my plastic surgery. And then I'll be like I did that bitch Stevie. You think that's funny? Watch me forbidden stuff.
Man, get this shit out of my ears.
Forbidden, rest
A little
in
fun
peace.
fact, Jeff.
Forbidden was a friend of the band's. She was a MySpace celebrity, but she passed away a couple years ago. Cool lady.
Jeffree is also featured in Deuce's song Let's Get It Crackin', so that's great, having to hear more of him rap.
That's the first time I've ever heard that. That was kind of cool. I don't know. It wasn't that bad. It was better than the first one. Jeez.
Okay, back on topic. Apparently, one night at a bar, Jeffree happened to be talking shit about HU, and J-Dog just so happened to be there as well and heard what he had to say, so he beat him up for it. For a long time, it was debated on whether or not the story was actually true, but it was actually confirmed by Johnny and the Curls in an interview back in 2009.
Okay, you guys formed in 2005, and I was following you guys on MySpace. I think you did a single.
Okay, so before we get into this, I was DJing at this bar. Oh, what was it called? It was a bar owned by one of the guys from Bad Religion, and I was DJing there Sundays, and I had a party there every week. So I was there. George showed up with a bunch of fools, and he was like drunk, and he grabbed me and pulled me aside and was like, I'm gonna fucking beat your ass. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he was like, oh, you've been talking shit. And I was like, excuse me, motherfucker, like, y'all are the ones that have the giant platform and that have been talking shit about me in interviews and all kinds of stuff. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You know, I'm talking shit. I have no platform to talk shit from. But anyway, he calmed down, but he was like belligerent. Like that sounded like the story that what happened to me. I've actually never told that story. But I don't know if they're like getting their stories mixed up.
Was Jeffree Star one? Okay, first of all, tell us about working with Jeffree Star.
There's nothing really much to say about that. At the time, we were just making songs, and he was affiliated with some of the guys in the band, and he did a track.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then later on, J-Dog, one of our guys in the band, beat him up at some bar, and I haven't seen him since.
We're talking crap.
I don't know about that. I didn't ever hear about that. Jarrell isn't really a violent person. And Jeffree Star is a violent person, and I've seen Jeffree Star beat up multiple dudes at the same time. So I don't really, that doesn't seem like like all these beat up stories. I don't think anyone ever got beat up. I think I told a story once about one of the band's friend, Rosie, where the treat's at, Rosie. She like got jumped by some girls in Hollywood, and like I ran across the street and like tore her away from these girls, and then these dudes like beat me up right in front of fucking Hollywood Undead, and they just all stood there. That's the only beat up story I ever remember.
You care to tell us what kind of crap he was talking? He talks a lot.
I don't know what he was saying. I mean, he was just saying this, and I honestly don't know. I mean, he's way off my radar. So, but he was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, and I guess Jay had a smooth buzz going and decided
I don't think this is true.
To beat him up. I don't know.
Fun fact, J-Dog actually raps about this encounter in Undead, which leads us to full version of Undead / Out of the Way. Undead is without a doubt one of the most popular HU songs out there. It is still played live to this day more than a decade later, and for good reason, essentially becoming the band's anthem. Despite this song being so popular, a lot of people actually have never heard the song in its entirety. During J-Dog's verse, the whole section gets cut out of the official version of the song by the label, and many believe this section to be J-Dog describing his altercation with Jeffree Star.
Shoes, we're pointing right at you. We're breaking everything, rowdy like a classroom. Pack of wolves, cause we don't follow the rules. So when you're running your mouth, the razor blades come out. But you're always pressing, you know I never stress. Yeah, Rocky DMS, Johnny to my left. Shoes, we're pointing right at you. We're breaking everything, rowdy like a classroom. Pack of wolves, cause we don't follow the rules. So when you're running your mouth, the razor blades come out. Because there's nothing in my life except my dick and what I spit. So my dick is in my hand when I respond to faggots talking shit. Speaking of fag, already rap with the track. We killed them, then we stuffed his body in the Cadillac. But you're always pressing, you know I never stress. Yeah, Rocky DMS, Johnny to my left.
Other versions, including the old demo version titled
Weird.
Out of the Way, include the cutout portion, and J-Dog still performs the section during live shows.
That's weird. Maybe it was just they probably pulled it out. I mean, here's what that is. That's not anything mysterious. He's speaking of doing violence. If they need an ultra clean version of a song, especially the song that is the biggest song that they ever put out, they're gonna scrap that verse off of a super clean version that they want to play on the radio that isn't talking about killing someone and stuffing them in a car. So I don't really think that there's any mystery about that. Or if it's about Jeffree Star, I don't know. I really don't think that that's the case. Although Jarrell's talking about DMS. DMS are these is a kind of like a hardcore. How do you explain it? They're like a bunch of dudes from New York that were from like had kind of like a gang. I guess that's the only way I could explain it. But they're in like hardcore music and which is something that I grew up in. But a bunch of DMS guys moved to LA and somehow ended up hanging out with Hollywood Undead. But those dudes were definitely like fighters. Those dudes are rowdy as shit. So if Jarrell was hanging out with them and Jeffree Star was there, you know, I could see something weird happening if DMS, did I say DSM? DMS? DMS were there. Because those dudes were turned.
Undead Uncensored music video. Sticking with Undead for the final entry in the second layer, we will be discussing the music video for it. Ooh boy. So this is the broadcast version of the Undead music video, which is up on YouTube and is what most of you are probably familiar with. And this is the uncensored director's cut version of
this
it.
Is like
the director's cut version of the music video.
How is this any different? I mean, obviously it's a little different, but how is this any different than the Vimeo right video?
Now, so if you want to go check that out.
This has been my biggest problem with these boys is that it's been 15 years? And like I would have expected them to like hit some sort of stride with originality. But they seem to just be, or they seem to do a lot of trying to rehash what happened in those first, pre Swang Songs days. But like all this stuff, it just looks like the number 5 video. Like there's so many things they could have done. Like I would have expected these dudes to like sound like Suicide Boys or something like that. Like something like, I don't know, more listenable.
Well, there you go. Funnily enough, the uncensored version of the music video that has full-on naked women in it still doesn't include J-Dog's full verse in it.
With the shiny rims, playing these bitches like a violin. I got more freaks in a carnival. Pop the trunk, there's my arsenal. I got bass gas straps, so let's.
Scene for Dummies website. Kicking off the third layer, we have the Scene for Dummies website named after the song. This is essentially just a fan website for HU, but for the most part, it is the most official looking fan website you will ever see. It covers news, interviews, albums, live events, and just everything HU related. The website is run by Vic Winchester, a name that has become synonymous with HU, with him being the most reliable source of info when it comes to all things HU since 2009. It is also run by other big names in the HU community, such as Scrub Sauce and German Padilla. The website was started in 2015 and is still going on strong to this day. Truth is a meme. Okay, for this one, I could be wrong, so feel free to correct me down below in the comments if I was. The Truth was a member of Deuce's group 9 Lives and served as a hype man from 2008 to 2012. He left the group after being arrested for DUI, in which he was caught by over 100 miles per
That
hour
video is funny,
and
by the
ramming
way.
into another car which contained a father and his 3-year-old son. Luckily, everyone involved survived the incident. I don't know where the meme part comes from and if people meme his arrest or some other aspect of him that I'm just not aware of.
I am Barton Asnayam and I got swag.
Where are you from? Where are you from?
I'm from Hollywood, California, Yerevan.
And why'd you like lead cops on this chase?
Because I got swag, I wanted to make it.
Are you on drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
You take drugs or alcohol?
What is drugs?
There's also this thing where he just went literally insane on
What
Twitter,
is
but that's
drugs?
something for a little later on in the Iceberg. Dead Couture, 3 Deers Co, and Danny Rose Supply. I've decided to lump these 3 into one entry because they're all essentially the same thing. All 3 of these are clothing lines started and run by various HU members. 3 Tiers Co and Danny Rose Supply are run by Danny and Johnny, obviously, and Dead Couture is run by various members of HU. Unfortunately, I don't believe any of these clothing lines are still up and running, apart from Danny's, as the domains for the other 2 are lost and just don't lead to anything. Charlie sings the chorus to kill everyone. This one kind of confuses me because it's just not true. Watch any live performance of Kill Everyone and you'll see that it is Danny singing the chorus with Charlie providing backing vocals.
What the hell is this?
What have I done? Fuck it, let's kill everyone. Come on, time. I think I'll kill everyone. What have I done? Fuck it, let's kill everyone. Oh! Come on, time. I think I'll kill everyone.
Going through the motions.
Fuck it, let's kill everyone. Come on, time.
Oh my god, this is only halfway over? Jesus Christ, you guys.
The only other thing I can see this referring to is that for a while, people thought it was Danny singing the pre-chorus, but again, watch the live performances, and you'll see it is Charlie who does that part. HU Crew. Okay, my memory is a little foggy on this one, so forgive me if I get a few things wrong. The HU Crew was essentially a bunch of friends of HU that weren't actually in the band. Members include the Phantom, Wes, the Scientist, and many, many more that I just don't remember. J-Dog tends to shout them out a lot in his verses.
J.O.R. I got arrested with Wes and the Scientist. I used to run with the gang. My parents sent me away. Producer showed me how to phrase. I like it better this way. You always press and you know I never stress. Yes, Rocky DMS, Johnny to my left. Got better than the rest, throw it down to rep the west. I grew up by drive-bys in LA.
Probably May. Probably May is a meme within the HU/Deuce community referring to a tweet that Deuce posted responding to a fan asking when the Invincible album was going to drop. As we all know, the Invincible album just had a disastrous development and release phase, being stuck in development hell from 2012 to 2015. Fans began leaking songs such as Invincible and Nightmare and many more, which caused Deuce to get into legal trouble, forcing the release of the album to be pushed back even further. I remember those days when the only copy of Invincible available online was the shitty Nightcore and acapella versions. This got so bad to the point where Deuce released the entire album for free in 2015 to make up for the hiatus. An actual official release was teased for some time in 2017, and as we can see here, a fan was asking if the album would be dropped in March, with Deuce responding in his classic vague-ass mannerisms of "probably May." Deuce would apparently respond to many fans with this or other classics such as "Soon" or "Yee or "Yee Bro." As you could probably guess, Invincible did not drop in May and actually dropped a whole 7 months later in December. Okay, what's next on the list here? Highway to Have... Oh, man. Hey, do I really have to talk about this one? You know, I would much rather just pretend like this one never existed. Oh, I have to. Oh, okay. Highway to Havasu. Let's get this shit over with. Highway to Havasu is a 2017 drama/romance/comedy film that was produced by J3T, and he even fucking stars in it, playing two different characters, one called Jonathan and one called Ronathan. According to IMDb, the film was about two friends who kidnapped their broken-hearted friend for a spring break trip to Lake Havasu. Now, I myself have never seen this film, but from what I can gather from people who have seen this film, yeah, it's pretty bad. And I mean, when this is the fucking cover of the film, what do you expect? The trailer for the movie even uses HU songs in it, such as War Child, which, you know, makes sense for the kind of like theme and party aspect of the movie. They also use "Does Everybody in the World Have to Die?"
What the
Until
fuck?
yesterday.
I did not know that breaking up with you would be so easy.
What?
Change some broken fate.
Bro, you're losing it. And over Katie, you're being selfish. Selfish? I'm not being selfish. You're so obsessed with Amber Andrews. You go over and talk to her. What? She does me in biology class like all the time.
You should come to Havasu, Billy. Please come. Please come.
Could you please say that for me one more time?
Why? Oh my god, please make it stop. The only other HU song I know to be in the film is Party by Myself. Now, I am not one to usually trust ratings on films I haven't seen, but I thought I'd just point out that this film boasts a whole 3.8 on IMDb. Johnny only appears in the film for like 3 scenes and is on screen for like 8 minutes. If you want to save yourself some time and the trouble, there is a YouTube video that has all of his scenes in it. Okay, I am done talking about this shit. Let's please move on. Myspace location /dogs hogs. Okay, really quickly before we get into the final entry of this layer, I just want to state that I have no idea what these 2 entries are. For some of the others, I had a vague guess of what they could be, but I have no clue at all what these are referring to. Myspace locations could be the photos they took in what appeared to be.
Hey. Jesus. Smoking inside recording. Blech.
A basement back in the Myspace days.
This was Aaron's house. Aaron's parents' house. Near Shit Alley. What did we call it over there?
But I just don't know for sure. And Hogs Dogs just absolutely escapes me. I've tried to research them but come up with nothing. So if anyone has any idea what these mean, please let me know. J-Dog has 2 Swan Songs masks. I've already mentioned how HU switches out their masks every new album, but rarely do they ever switch them out mid-album.
Yeah.
J-Dog's first Swan Songs mask was white with the iconic $1 bill over the mouth and blood covering over the dollar. It also had little designs and symbols, including J-Dog's initials, JD,
Alright, bro, I'm
plastered all over.
turning this up.
You can see it in the album cover for Swan Songs, the Undead music video, and the number 5 music video. The second mask was all white with the symbols removed and blood not getting on the dollar. This mask also had J-Dog and Undead written underneath.
Way better
You
speed.
can see this mask in the Best for Measures album cover, the Everywhere I Go music video, and the Young music video, which were both released in 2009. No one really knows why J-Dog made the switch, however some have theorized that the designs on the first mask, which were Louis Vuitton inspired, caused legal issues, and he switched to a plain white mask to avoid them.
It's a new day, you would love yourself and no one else. It's a new day, it's a broken life.
What are hamburgers / Hollywood Undead Rares? I lumped these two together because they kind of go hand in hand with each other. The first part is referring to a fan-made song titled Home is Hamburgers, which is a compilation of sound bites from various of the Curls' Snapchat stories where he's talking about food pretty much, with the line in question being used in the chorus of the song.
What are hamburgers? Nom, 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 nom. What are hamburgers? Nom, 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 nom. It's showtime.
Okay, so I'm a little hungover today. Just finished packing for Europe, and I'm doing something special before I leave.
The song was made by Reddit user Hollywood Undead Rares and posted to the YouTube channel of the same name. From what I could gather, they would post HU/Deuce content, including lyric videos and the such. Unfortunately, both the YouTube channel and the Reddit account have been terminated. For what you ask, I have no fucking idea. They just kind of vanished one day, leaving members of the community to wonder what happened to them with no answers in sight. Red masks were only used once throughout the 5 cycle. The members of HU used 3 different masks for the duration of the 5 album. The masks had the same design for all 3 and were just palette swaps with each other. There was a black and gold version, a silver and blue version, and a red and white version. As the entry states, HU only used the red and white versions once throughout this album cycle. Now, there's no evidence, at least that I could find, that Vax is playing up in like a statement or something to that nature. However, after my own research of watching many HU live shows from the 5 era, this claim seems to be pretty legit. HU seems to favor the black and gold variants, and for the most part whipping out the silver and blue ones every now and then. But I have not found a single show with the guy sporting the red and white ones, with the exception of Charlie, who wore his red bandana during a show in Montreal. I don't know why the guys didn't wear the red ones as often, but for a lot of these shows, the guys tend to wear a mishmash of the masks, never usually matching with the other members. So maybe they just didn't really like the red ones apart from Charlie. Funny Man wore a fan-made mask on stage. The Second Nature Workshop is a Russian mask designer on Instagram. They make some incredible masks and mask concepts, not only for HU, but for Slipknot, Ghost, horror movies, video games, it is anything that has to do with masks. They even make concept masks for what the Crow's 5 masks would look like, and that is fucking amazing and enough to earn my follow. Seriously, check out their stuff and give them a follow if you're at all interested in anything mask related. Anyways, back to the Iceberg. During HU's European tour in Russia, Second Nature Workshop actually met HU and gifted them some custom-made masks, except for Charlie.
We feel like it's like our second home when we go to Russia. Moscow, St. Petersburg, every city there, they treat us like we're family.
1.5 is too high.
That's what's my mistake. Sorry, man.
It's really fucked up. You guys are very disappointed.
Thank you, guys. We really appreciate that.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for mine, too.
Yeah, Charlie also has extra special.
I love mine, man. It's the best one.
Sorry, Charlie. Funny got a really cool looking Jason mask with this FM logo on it, and rumor has it that he wore it for the show in Russia. Now, I myself have not been able to find footage of said show, but Second Nature Workshop confirmed that he did in fact wear it on his Instagram. I'll play in the snow. I'm gonna run through this one kind of quickly as it's pretty insignificant compared to everything else.
Being the like coolest looking one out of all these guys.
Iceberg. Essentially, this is a result of OP having trouble hearing the above line, which is a lyric from Dead by.
Seems like he took care of himself better. Sounds like Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Johnny says it pretty fast, so it is kind of hard to hear, but Johnny does indeed say, "I'll play in the snow." This is essentially another mother murder case where people either hear Johnny saying, "There's blood on my hands," or "This blood on my hands," and hearing him say, "Wake up in the middle of It's Any Other Night," and "Wake up in the middle of Insanity Other Night." But as I said, it's clear and been confirmed that Johnny says, "I'll play in the snow." Deuce is a Ghostwriter. Not gonna lie, guys, this one is gonna be a really fucking hard guess. So apparently there were some complaints when New Empire was being teased, then called HU6, that there was a Ghostwriter involved, and I'm guessing that's what this is referring to, and this is implying that Deuce was said Ghostwriter. I don't know. Deuce was known for and has argued to have been the main writer of most of Swan Song, so maybe, I doubt it. And like I said, I'm just guessing at this point because looking up Deuce, Hollywood Undead Ghostwriter gets me nothing.
What did that say? J-Dog vegan fiasco. What's the vegan fiasco?
So take that however you want to take it. The Curls solo project. On October 17th, 2017, following his departure from HU, the Curls posted a teaser trailer for a solo project showing him writing, singing, programming, etc. Have we gotten anything in those 3 years since it was posted? Nope. Sadly, the teaser seems to have been taken down from his social media, and the latest, I say this with the biggest fucking quotation marks to ever exist, news we have gotten about this solo project are some vague, nonsensical tweets posted back in March that just say soon. Now I wonder where I've seen this kind of thing before. Other than that, the only other thing we've heard from Maddie is an interview in 2018, which for some unknown reason, the interviewer doesn't ask him about the solo project at all.
That song grew on me. Maddie's song, but like, dude, it's really hard to do solo music when you're in this position. Trust me, I know. I've owed you guys money I've owed you guys money. I've owed you guys music for a long time. Oh boy. Yeah, but and that was just, that was just him, and I think it was one of the guys from Marilyn Manson, just like, working on some stuff. That kind of a project can, easily never get finished. So I'm not surprised that he hasn't put it up yet. But Maddie, I mean, I love the guy to death, but he was the least important one in that band as far as creative input.
Instead focuses more on his departure from HU. Will we ever get to hear this solo project? Who the fuck knows? But I really sure hope we do. Maddie was one of my favorite members of HU. I really am missing him. But for now, all we can do is wait. HU fans crash Kingdom Leaks. Kingdom Leaks is a music piracy site that oftentimes leaks upcoming songs or albums from various artists that has since shut down. According to the fans that were around when it happened, Kingdom Leaks announced ahead of time that they were going to leak the new Empire Volume 1 album on their website and hyped it up heavily. Due to this build-up, hundreds of HU fans visited the website all at once and actually crashed the website servers. This crash prevented non-HU fans from using the site to view other leaks from other artists, and boy were they pissed. Kingdom Leaks released an angry statement on HU fans for crashing their site, leading many people to clown and trash on HU fans. Like I said, I wasn't around when this happened, and since Kingdom Leaks has since shut down, there isn't much I can really show you. But as I mentioned, some fans on Reddit do recall this event happening.
That's pretty funny.
J3T has a copy of the 3 Tiers EP. We mentioned earlier in the video that Johnny has posted about at least 3 songs that were made with his former band 3 Tiers alongside J-Dog, Deuce, and Charlie. It was these posts that made fans speculate that Johnny had access
I actually saw 3 Tiers
to the EP that those songs came from. Will we ever hear it is a big maybe, considering Deuce may still own some rights to it, but we can only dream.
No.
Han Cholo. Han Cholo is Charlie Sheen's cover band in which he is the lead vocalist. The band's name is a parody of the Star Wars character Han Solo, with Cholo being essentially a Hispanic gangster, Charlie himself being a fluent Spanish speaker. Footage of the band exists on YouTube, so go through with that what you will.
Yeah, they used to play at this bar in the Valley. I've seen him a couple times. It's kind of funny. Ooh. That F version. Oh no, I haven't.
U/Coked Out Skeletons is Undead OP. Okay, so I am not a Redditor, so I am not even going to try and pretend as if I know that community well or what went down in it, so I will try and retell this story to the best of my ability as I know it. U/Coked Out Skeletons is a moderator for the r/Hollywood Undead subreddit. From what I can understand, Undead OP was also a moderator of the subreddit, who was very toxic and abused their power by ways of unfair bans, clearly breaking the rules of the subreddit, constantly lying and deleting old posts while slandering other users. The list just goes on and on. Things got so bad to the point that a straw poll was held to determine the fate of Undead OP. Turns out the straw poll wasn't actually necessary because Undead OP would go on to delete his own account. After all of this happened, many thought he would try and use fake accounts to gain access back into the subreddit, and one of these fake accounts thought to be Coked Out Skeletons. However, that is not true. The two accounts have nothing to do with each other, and in Coked Out Skeleton's own words, people would bombard him with accusations of being Undead OP, with these accusations ultimately turning out to be untrue. After a while, these accusations eventually died down, and everyone just kind of moved on with their lives. Like I said, I am not a Redditor, so I can't quite give you guys the full details of everything that happened because I just don't know them. So if you'd like to learn more about the situation, head over to the HU subreddit. There are plenty of threads discussing this situation. Old version of City/Spider-Man. You guys know the deal by now. Put 2 entries together because it makes sense when you tell the story together. So a lot of the songs on Swan Songs were remasters of songs that were initially recorded during the Myspace era. For example, Sell Your Soul.
This wasn't. This was not recorded during the Myspace era. Not a bad song though. I wish they wouldn't have wimped it up so much.
Bottle and a Gun.
It was once a dark, lonely summer's eve on the lonely
How much I
streets
love
of
this
Sunset,
song.
when the Lord called upon 6 crazy MCs. J-Dog, Charlie Scene, Johnny 3 Tiers, the Curls, and the producer.
Hey, man, you about the homie funny, man. Come on.
I can show you how to hold without making love. The way you look at me, I can tell that you're a freak.
It was once a dark, lonely summer's eve on the lonely streets of
What's the difference between the two? They cut me out.
7 crazy MCs. J-Dog, Charlie Scene, the son of the Curls, Shady Jeff, and the producer.
Hey, Hey, man, you about the homie funny, man. Come on.
I can show you how to hump without making love. The way you look at me, I can tell that you're.
And the natives.
That's me. That's if that's the album version. That's me. That's me there too. They gave me
According
no.
to Shady Jeff, of all people, during an interview with Sing for Dummies, one of these older version songs that got remastered was City. According to Shady, the original version of City was insane and apparently
look at that
featured his
guy.
vocals most likely during Deuce's screaming parts, most likely alongside J-Dog's part. Just by Shady's description alone, the original version of City is the most sought-after piece of HU lost media by far, with fans hunting for it for years on end. Shady believes J-Dog and Deuce still have the original version of City and many of the other older versions of songs, but neither person has spoken about the situation. If this wasn't already crazy enough, according to Shady, the original version of City, or at the very least the official version of City that's on the Songs album, was supposed to be used in Spider-Man 4. Yeah, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, I know. Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 was released in 2007, and despite some not-so-great reception, Sony planned for a fourth installment, which started development in 2008, the same year that Songs was released. Unfortunately, after many script revisions and other issues, Spider-Man 4 was cancelled. Now, of course, these claims are unconfirmed as fuck, but can you imagine Tobey Maguire Spider-Man swinging across New York with City playing in the back? That would be fucking amazing.
Yeah,
all we have is
bro.
Shady's word to go off of, and it doesn't help that during the interview, Shady sounds unsure as hell about what he is saying. Man, it'll be the hypest thing ever if fans actually uncover the original version of City. Deuce is homeless and insane. This one is just really fucking sad, and I hope and pray to God it isn't true, so here we go. Now, I've touched on Deuce's many troubles with his solo career, with the inability to release Invincible successfully, legal troubles, and basically falling into obscurity. Now, compare that to the success of HU, who is on their 7th album now, collabing with Tech Nine, Papa Roach, and touring worldwide. As a founding member of said band who believes they was kicked out unfairly.
The funny thing about Papa Roach, I might have mentioned it before. I had actually toured with Papa Roach when I lived in Northern California. I was tour managing and doing merch for a band called the Lonely Kings, and they toured with Papa Roach, and we toured with them and got pretty close with them. And when Hollywood Undead got big, I had our manager reach out to their manager and ask them to do a collab with us like day one of Hollywood Undead, and they rejected us. So it's funny to see, 20 years later, practically, they're all old now. Now they're reaching out to Hollywood Undead and wanting to do stuff with them, which is just kind of funny.
You can imagine what that would do to a man, especially one who had as big of an ego as Deuce reportedly had. Now, a member of the Russian community got into contact with Deuce's ex, Danielle DeMarco, asking if he was all right, as he had been off of social media for a while, and she responded with this. According to Danielle, Deuce is homeless, with his record label controlling every bit of...
Yeah, Danielle and I talked a bunch. There was also a guy in Oregon, I believe it was Oregon, who had actually ran into Aaron on the street, and was fundraising to get him an apartment. And I had reached out to Aaron a bunch of times, and he just doesn't respond. So I know people hit me up all the time. Have you reached out to him? Yeah, I have several times. And while holding a white flag, like I don't want to, if he's having trouble, I don't want to be, punching down on him or anything like that. So, but I hit him up a few times, and he saw the messages and just didn't respond. And people ask, he made that. If you go look at one of the last video I made about this, there was an interview he did where he said that he never knew me, and that I had stole his pictures and used them to start a band or something, and how he tried to sue me but couldn't sue me. Some crazy story.
the money that he earns. He also seems to be paranoid, talking to himself and exhibiting other strange behavior, and even being abusive towards Danielle. The end of her messages make it seem that at the very least he has a place to go, but man, this shit is just depressing to look at, especially considering this is apparently the last image we have of him. This is just so terrible to look at, man. When I first heard this, I didn't want to believe it. It's just watching someone you grew up listening to just literally fall into the pits of despair. It's terrible, man. I just hate to look at it. Now, like I said, I don't know how the man's holding up now, or if he had it as bad as Danielle made it out to be. But if it all is true, I wish Aaron the best and hope he gets the help that he needs. Court documents available for purchase.
Amen.
Okay, moving on to a slightly less depressing topic. Remember earlier when we talked about Deuce's assault claims towards J-Dog and Funny Man? Well, as it turns out, the entire court documents for that case were available for purchase at some point at around 61 cents per page. Reddit user Cameron2817 purchased the entire 72-page document, and the whole thing is available.
So in this lawsuit, he was suing me too, because he said that I pulled a gun on him. This was the wildest thing, because this was like 4 years later. Like, I hadn't even talked to those guys. All of a sudden, there was like some New York Times article with Deuce crying about getting beat up and a gun pulled on him, and that he was suing us or something.
On Reddit. Interesting points as indicated by
Like, I had to get a lawyer.
Cameron are the judge dismissing Deuce's claims for stalking and emotional damage, as well as dismissing J3T from the case entirely, as Deuce acknowledges that he wasn't even present during the jump-in. The entire thing is very long. It would take too long to go over here, so go check it out yourself if you want. Fair warning, the documents have pop-up ads that open up new tabs like everywhere, so be wary of that if you want to go check it out. Scientology documents.
So, trying to think. If Aaron lied about me pulling a gun on him, so he obviously lied about getting jumped. He took, a story that was popular or that was going around and and threw some fuel on the fire and tried to get money from us over it. But clearly, it's not very you can't 7 years later try and sue someone because they allegedly jumped you or did anything to you. It's just it was a very irrational case, and it was immediately thrown out. Not immediately thrown out, but it got as far enough to get thrown out because Aaron's just not.
Oh boy, here's the big one. So I'm in no position at all to give you guys my opinions of Scientology. For those who don't know what it is, it's a religion, quote unquote.
So no one knew about HU being Scientologist until I told y'all, just so you know.
That has been at the center of many controversies and oftentimes described as a cult. And that is as far as I'm going to go with that. So go do some research on your own if you want to, as this is a really extensive topic. Okay, so Reddit user Aaron Miller 555 had come into contact with a person who worked with HU on the Been to Hell music video and other projects who claimed that Deuce was a Scientologist. He also claimed that all original members of HU were second-generation members being born into the religion, with all members walking away from it except for Deuce. When Deuce tried to leave later on in life, the church wouldn't let him, and this is reportedly why Deuce had so many troubles in his solo career. Not because of label issues or money issues or whatever it was, but the church actively preventing him from leaving and screwing with his career. Other users were of course skeptical and clowned on him. However, Aaron Miller would go on to make more and more posts, providing more and more evidence. He provided links to Deuce's service completions and records for completing his audit for this group. And before you think this is just a coincidence and could just be another person named Aaron Ehrlichman, he also links the completion services for Ariana Ehrlichman, which we know is Deuce's sister from 9 Lives, and also links to Deuce's father's completion services. Not only that, he lists every HU member's completion services except for the Curls, and even has a few 9 Lives members as well. Things just get weirder and weirder when you consider how long the HU guys have known each other for, with some dating all the way back to kindergarten.
Okay.
Not only that, people believe that Truth going insane on Twitter that I mentioned.
Okay, so you guys have figured it all out, because for a long time, they were denying it and everyone was denying it, and I know the Hollywood Undead subreddit or whatever it is, they were talking all this shit about me because I was saying that stuff. But obviously you guys figured out that they absolutely are. And I know out of everyone, Dylan wasn't the most active, but I do know. And when they did these courses, they fucking they were all forcing me to do this course with them. And I was like, Dylan, what the fuck? Because Dylan wasn't Scientologist, and Dylan's like, oh, I'm just gonna do it anyway. And I was just like, okay, wow. I already had a couple bad experiences with Scientology, so I already knew, what was coming around the corner. And, as you know, that's a big reason, very big reason why I'm not in that band, is because I was the one who wasn't going to cave to the Scientology stuff. But that's cool that you guys actually figured this stuff out.
Mentioned way earlier in the video has to do with this as well, with the church influencing his beliefs and his thoughts, and which is why he's just sending out nonsensical stuff on Twitter all the time, because he's literally gone insane due to it. And of course, all of this is just pure speculation, with many claiming these are all just coincidences. But the most damning evidence of all is Shady Jeff himself admitting it during his interview with Scene for Dummies, stating, "You know they were Scientologists, right? The Hollywood Undead, that was a big issue." Again, none of this is confirmed at all, but when you start to consider everything, the whole situation just gets really weird and really complicated. Take this as you will, many fans today who are aware of all of this think that if it were all true, then it's best just to leave it all in the past and just we all move on with our lives. And so we reach the end of our journey. Let's see what our final topic is. Oh. HU fan decapitation. Yeah, this is something that actually happened, and I hate that it is something to have happened in this community. I wanted this Iceberg to be a fun little video, something I can use to look back on my middle school days and have some fun and make a few jokes here and there. Obviously, this is a very serious situation, and I'm not even going to attempt to make any jokes about what happened. Many of you are probably already familiar with this case, and it was big news when it happened. And you can probably tell by the way I'm stuttering, like, it just kind of gets to me, I guess. This is a very serious topic, and probably noticed if you've been watching this video that I was working off of a script, you know, constantly trying to make sure everything was perfect, minimize my stutters to like make it basically the best it can be, try and minimize my mistakes and stutters going back and re-recording, and I'm just kind of recording this one straight through. I have a script in front of me, maybe I'll show it in the video, but I'm gonna try not to follow it. I'm just gonna talk, even if I mess up, you know, what have you. I don't want this last thing to be anything scripted or anything, you know, artificial, I suppose. So yeah, here we go. I'll just get into it. Hello everyone. This is editing Johnny RM here to make a correction. I'm pretty sure I horribly mispronounced Bianca's Instagram account. I believe in the video I pronounced it ecstasy, which I don't think is appropriate at all. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. Like it's spelled out. I'll put it on screen. ESCTY, or so probably SCT probably is a better pronunciation. I just want to correct that real quickly, and also just state, like, you kind of hear me laugh a few times kind of during that whole final entry, and I want to make sure and point out that, you know, I'm not laughing to be insensitive, you know, something that I do oftentimes when I'm feeling very uncomfortable or I'm talking about a serious situation that upsets me. I tend to like laugh. I know it seems very inappropriate, but I don't want it to come off that way. Something I do kind of just to clear the air, get my bearings, you know, make myself
All right,
like
get to
continue
it.
to say what I want to say. It's happening
Come on,
right
man,
now.
we get it.
Yeah, I just want to point that out really quickly. I didn't intend for that to be insensitive, inappropriate, or what have you. And yet, so back to the entry. Bianca Devins, or Ecstasy as she was known on Instagram, was an influencer on the aforementioned app with thousands of followers. She unfortunately lost her life after fellow Instagram influencer Brandon Clark, or Yes Juliet, as he was known on the app, murdered her, and as the entry states, attempted to decapitate her.
Ooh.
Bianca and Brandon's relationship is very conflicted and complicated. Brandon believed the two were in a relationship, with others saying the two were very close, with Brandon being a close family friend. However, other accounts describe Brandon as a delusional stalker who was obsessed with Bianca, making himself believe he was her boyfriend when he really wasn't. More evidence points to the latter, as Brandon's search history would reveal that he would search up Bianca's social media frequently, keeping track of her social media at all times, and even printing out pictures of her to like display. These delusions and obsessions would all culminate at a Nicole Dollenganger, I believe that's how you say her name, concert attended by the two and a mutual friend named Alex. Bianca kissed Alex at the show, which was witnessed by Brandon, which greatly upset him. Brandon would later question Bianca about this kiss, and he would then go on to murder Bianca. Brandon took pictures of Bianca's near headless corpse and posted them on a Discord server, where they would then go on to be spread all over the internet from Instagram to Twitter.
Ooh.
Brandon would then
The
call
hell?
Bianca's family to notify them of what he's done. Afterwards, he would attempt suicide unsuccessfully, where he was then taken into custody, where he would initially plead not guilty to the killing of Bianca. He would later change his plea to guilty, where he is now serving 25 to life in prison. Bianca Devins was 17 when she died, and you know, that greatly upsets me. I am 19 at the time of recording, and I feel like I barely lived a full life at all. So it's unfair that someone's
Gnarly.
life should be like
That
cut
sucks.
down that early or that short. Now, this is obviously a very tragic situation, but wait,
What's the HU connection?
I'm sorry, it's a very tragic situation, but what does it have to do with HU? Well, both parties, or at the very least Brandon, were Hollywood Undead fans. The Yes Juliet account is now private, but archives of it show watercolor drawings he would make of J3T. Not only that, after the murder, Brandon would post this quote from Black Cadillac onto his Instagram story. It upsets me in ways I can't even really fully explain that someone like this was in this community and had the audacity of using said community to spread even more hurt to, you know, those involved and those affected that weren't even involved in this case. The story of Bianca Devins is a tragic and awful one, but her legacy still lives on in a positive light. Her mother, Kim Devins, and politician Anthony Brinzi have proposed a law titled Bianca's Law, which call for social media sites with more than $10 million in revenue and more than 100,000 active users to establish an office dedicated to monitoring violent content and stop the spread of said content so this exploitation that Bianca faced never has to be faced by anyone else ever again.
Well, I don't know about that.
Yeah, talking about that whole situation has kind of brought the mood down for me a bit. I just hate to end this video that, like, as I said, was intended to be me looking back on, you know, my old middle school cringy days, having a few laughs. I'd hate to end it with something that depressing. So I'm gonna try and get my bearings back together. You can probably tell I'm not working off a script right now. I'm just kind of talking to the mic. I decided as I was editing, I don't want to end this video that way. So I'm basically here right now to lighten up the mood a bit. I just wanted to say a few entries, I suppose, as I've been calling them out throughout the video, I thought should have probably been in here. Maybe like a few extras, bonus, pretty much, bonus entries by Johnny RM. Yeah, I have not prepared anything at all. I'm just kind of talking into my mic right now. So one I thought that should have been on here that wasn't here was Shady Jeff, as he is prominently featured throughout the Iceberg, but I thought he, at the very least, as the 7th member of HU, should get his own entry. So, and where I would put that, I should probably say, for these bonus entries, I'll try and maybe add them onto the Iceberg with Photoshop or something, or I'll just tell you where I thought they should be. For Shady Jeff, I think he should be in the first layer. And yeah, I'll briefly explain who Shady Jeff is. Shady Jeff is Jeffree Phillips. He was the 7th member of HU. He was around during the Myspace era days, and he has a few lines, a few parts in a couple songs from those from that era. So like Sing for Dummies, he has this whole shout out portion.
Yo, Shady Jeff at the mic. Want to shout out to my boys at FFTL on tour.
Oh my god, I haven't heard that in a while.
No more pills, fool. David Bridge, Pirate Dog, Uncensored, more miss you. Randy Crew Girl, I love Bonds, Rosie, where the fuck the treats at? Apartment 20, Franklin and Highland, Avenue 43, Nella, fool, Southwest, Eagle Rock, North Hollywood, Kid, Compton, Inglewood.
He was on one of the older versions that I mentioned, such as Following the Gun and Number 5. He has this whole thing. And yeah, he wore a bandana of different colors, the most famous one being
that was all wrong. I'm not on number 5, or I think I say like 2 words on number 5.
black one, and he also had the red one, which I'll try and put up on screen. But yeah, Shady Jeff was kicked from the band before Swan Songs came out because of an incident, much like the Deuce incident is very complicated, very conflicting stories, where the most believed story is that during Shady Jeff's birthday party, Deuce and Charlie, who weren't invited, by the way, they showed up and they brought a bunch of friends, or I believe it said that Deuce brought his friends that Shady didn't know. And like, you know, it's something that's such a dick move to do, bringing people that you don't know attending your birthday party. Like, that's, I can only imagine. Yeah, this obviously pissed off Shady, who's like, you know what, whatever, like, we'll just get through the night. But Deuce, I believe he was high or drunk, or maybe both. He started insulting Shady's friends and family, and you know, this dude who brings in people you don't know to your own birthday party and starts talking shit to your friends and family, you know, and it settled well for him. And Shady reportedly pulled out a gun on Deuce. And
all right, parents, I'm done fucking around with you. Get the fuck out of my fucking house. I'm gonna fucking call the cops. And he's like, oh, fuck the cops. Cops won't be here for an hour. I'll fuck all you up in that time. Little fucking 80-pound Aaron says this. So I'm like, all right, dude. Get the fuck out of my house. Now. And this kid bursts into fucking tears, bro. He's like, oh, shit. No, I was just kidding. Oh, I'm just messing around, man. Oh, God, no. Oh, like this fool thought I wasn't going to defend myself in my own home. I don't know what the fuck this guy was thinking. So Anyway, he ends up leaving. Not a very interesting story.
Yeah, after this incident, Deuce and Charlie, when they left, and Shady was promptly kicked from the band. Yeah, Shady Jeff is well known amongst, you know, HG fans. Maybe not like surface level HG fans, like, you know, just like their music, don't really want to know about the members, just want to hear the music. They don't really know about him, but so almost every other HG fan does know about Shady. And so
Check. Yo, Shady Jeff at the mic. You guys hear me now? Am I back? Am I back? Am I can't? Back? Yes, back. Got it, Steel. Thanks, bro. Am I back? I should be back. Let me check the settings one more time. Check. Yeah, it should be working, right? Someone said back. Yes, sir. Okay. So what did I last say? Where'd you last hear me? Damn. I was on a roll. Watch the chat. I'm looking at the chat now. You guys are a crack up. Scientology. Shit. So what he said about me being kicked out isn't necessarily true. Yeah, I just did tell my goddamn life story and you guys missed it. Hopefully I could repeat it. So I created the environment. Okay, I need to stop hitting this wire. I created the environment for them to kick me out by I basically geez. So the oh my god, I can't believe I no longer believed in the project. They took the music in a direction and the vibe and the authenticity and the swag of the original band that I started. The first 7 days, the first 7 songs, the first week of songs of this band. They had changed that. into, you know, like Charlie Cini's got a big old weenie songs and stuff like that, which you guys love that stuff, and that's fine, but it just wasn't what I wanted to do. And I had been getting ganged up on by them as a whole as Scientologists, because I renounced Scientology to them many times, because I had had a bad experience with Scientology before, and I knew what was going to happen eventually to the one guy in the band who wasn't the Scientologist. So yeah, I'm sure I definitely was. So I had basically, you know, cut myself off from, you know, I had given up on the project. I remember I went out to Arizona and stayed with this house full of girls for like a week, and just like they were calling me and blah 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 blah, and you know, I knew what was going to happen. So to say I was kicked out, or if I was to say I was kicked out over what happened at my birthday party, that's definitely like not accurate. I I left. I was voted out. According to our contract, it had to have been 100% unanimous vote to vote any member out, but I was voted out 5-2. Jarrell, my homeboy, didn't want to kick me out of the band. And so legally they weren't able to kick me out, but I agreed to leave. If I recall correctly, or I mean, yeah. I mean, it was, I had created the environment for them to kick me out because I didn't want to do the project anymore. And I don't regret it in the least bit. It was, well, my obviously my vote was one of the two. So yeah, that, you know, I left because the project wasn't going the direction that was of interest to me. I wanted a completely different feel of that band, and I wanted to continue its original sound because we were very, very original for that era, and for them to just you know, turn into Linkin Park was just like, I don't know. And then, you know, like the stuff they're putting out now just sounds a lot like the stuff that they put out 5 years ago. And I just haven't seen, you know, it's cool that they're still doing stuff, but I don't think they were ever able to really get their sound right. I don't know. I wish you could have heard the first version of that, but clearly I'm having mic issues.
Stuff like that. And Shady's story has been retold by Shady, I believe, on his YouTube channel. I can't remember the name. It's something Anarchy. So it was something Anarchy. But I'll probably put a link to it in the description, or I'll put it on screen. You can like watch and describe that situation. Now, as for continuing off of Shady Jeff, I think something that should have been on here as well is Shady Fizz. And I would put that probably in the second or third layer, because some people don't even know who Shady Jeff is. So I can imagine
that would be exactly second layer for sure. Because I was first layer, and me being gone was this beginning of the second layer, and Shady Fizz was a character made to cover up the fact that Shady Jeff was ever in the band, and that happened right after we parted.
So after the incident with Shady,
and that shit was funny as shit. I hope he acts like it would be funny. I have videos reacting to the Shady Fizz videos. These were funny, and this kid, it was really funny because I think the HU guys like got him to do it all, and like he was like super scared of me for a long time until I like bumped into him one night, and I was like, dude, those videos were hilarious, and he was like, oh, I thought you wanted to beat my ass. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, when he left, HU decided to make a bunch of skits featuring Charlie Sheen's cousin. I forget his name. His cousin. And the character was titled Shady Fizz as a joke on Shady Jeff. It just be like essentially is making fun of him. They're all on YouTube. You can go watch them. One of my favorite ones is Shady Fizz comes out of the studio, or HU is coming out of the studio, and Shady Fizz is arriving. They're like, "You need my dope ass screams, dude." And Funny just steals his skateboard. I'm pretty sure.
This is where the Hollywood Undead practices and do their thing. Sounds like they can use a couple of my screams right about now. Guys, what's going on? Hey, what's up, fellas? Hey, Charlie, I thought you couldn't afford the can. Funny. Hey, fuck off, bitch. J-Dog. Oh, I'm in the back of shit alley. Where's the grand finale? You must not recognize me without my bandana fully on. Hey, guys. Shady. What's up?
So yeah, Shady Fizz I would put somewhere in the third or second layer, as I said, because I already mentioned Shady Jeff already isn't that well known, so I'd imagine lots of people don't know about the Shady Fizz skits from back in the day. I'm trying to think. This is so off the top of my head right now of like things I would add onto this iceberg, because this covered a lot of stuff I didn't know.
No, he should have had a way more.
I guess
he should have had
maybe
way more for the first layer.
But the name of the song killed me. This is literally my favorite song of American Tragedy. Why can't I remember? Street Dreams. I believe it was Street Dreams. The Street Dreams has like 9 different versions to it. Street Dreams in itself is already it's a deluxe edition to the American Tragedy album. It's either deluxe edition or Best Buy, because HU loves to fucking do that. So you have to buy the album like multiple times.
I'm going back up.
It's not on the regular American Tragedy album. So already people don't really know about it. Like they don't like go into this stuff extensively. But yeah, Street Dreams has like 9 or like, I'm probably exaggerating, but it has a lot of different demo versions of it. There's like, I'm trying to remember, at least 6 different versions of Street Dreams out there. The thing that really changes, which I find kind of dumb, is just the little chants in the beginning, and I think a bit of the instrumental as well.
Again in the night we go into the world unknown, just let us go.
What's up, love? Let's make me watch this shit.
So yeah, the 6 different versions of Street Dreams.
I know that song now.
Third layer, I guess. Nothing I bring up is gonna go in the 4th or 5th layer. I was not that deep into HU. What else? What other HU knowledge can I bring to the table? I guess I don't know how true this was, but I guess I'll just title this one HU members returning, and I'll probably put that maybe in the 3rd or 4th layer. But yeah, it was a popular thing that everyone and their mother thought that a bunch of HU old members, Deuce and Shady Jeff in specific, were coming back, because for one, it was J-Dog. J-Dog's always behind everything, man. J-Dog and Shady took a picture together. I forgot when. I'll post it on the screen, but I forgot when the picture was taken. I believe J-Dog posted it to his Instagram account. And that was a really cool thing to see, with old friends, they started the band together, getting back together after all these years. And that's all it was, pretty much. And everyone's like, Shady Jeff's coming back. He's going to be a feature. And as for Deuce, the thing that sparked it here was Deuce in an interview said he held no grievances with Hollywood Undead anymore. And when they asked them like, hey, would you be down to do a song with them? And he just responded, I believe it's up to them, implying that like, it's their fault. They don't want me. It's up to them. It's not up to me. And other than that, I believe it was.
But I thought he doesn't know us and that we just stole his pictures and started a band using his likeness.
Deuce followed J-Dog on his Instagram, and J-Dog followed him back. And everyone like made such a big deal about it, saying Deuce was going to return. And he was going to be, I believe this was around the time 5 was happening. That was another rumor at the time. I think that's all my HU knowledge spent.
Jarrell's like impossible person to be mad at.
I don't really know much else other than the Jeffree Star stuff that was already mentioned in the Iceberg. But yeah, a lot of people didn't know that Jeffree Star was in Hollywood Undead songs. I remember my friend, I'll never forget the day he told me, you listen to like Jeffree Star rap? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, he's on that band you talk about, Hollywood Undead. I'm like, of all the songs you had to pick to like listen to, you picked Turn Off the Lights. It was so horrible, man. I hate that song. But yeah, I guess Jeffree Star being in some songs, I'd probably put like, probably second or third layer. I imagine people would know that, especially if they follow Deuce's solo career.
layer.
Because as I mentioned, Jeffree is in
first layer. For
he's in
sure.
fucking not circles. of all the songs, imagine if Jeffree Star was on circles. No, but Jeffree's in.
No, Jeffree Star would be first and maybe fourth layer because he came along very early. I believe Turn Off the Lights might have been like our fifth or sixth song.
And Let's Get It Crackin', which sucks because I love the beginning scream that Deuce. That's how he says release the Kraken.
Oh.
That's one of his best screams in my opinion. And the rest of the song is just gives me depression. So
that was Aaron trying to be Shady Jeff. Oh shit! Did I just fucking?
Should have been on there. It was Funny Man. So similar to J-Dog, Funny Man, he used 2 different masks for Notes from the Underground. It was the Have Fun Kid, I believe is the quote. Of the beginning scream that Deuce. That's how he says release the Kraken.
Oh god, I just myself through it again. Jesus Christ.
That's one of his best screams in my opinion. And the rest of the song is just
that's a horrible scream.
So I think that's all my HU knowledge spent. I don't think I have anything else to add. And like I said, this whole last section, I've been rambling for like 10 minutes. It's just, I'm trying to add a bit more fun back into the Iceberg after that last depressing note. So yeah, this was a really fun video to do. This is like one of my first things I've ever recorded. So with that, I bid everyone farewell. Sounds very fucking formal of me. But yeah, I hope you guys had fun listening to me ramble about Hollywood Undead for like probably an hour.
Oh my god,
yeah,
that was
you guys
an
in the next
hour?
video.
Oh. You guys are killing me.
Guess what? I lied. I remembered a few more HU little bonus fucking entries. One that I remembered that I thought should have been here. I've looked at other icebergs and I'll be pulling from them and putting them on here. I'll probably put an image of the iceberg I got this one from. It was the Have Fun Kid, I believe is the quote. I could be mistaken, but it's something similar to that. But reportedly, I don't know how confirmed this is, that during Deuce's final show with HU, before he was kicked, Funny Man, approached them backstage and he kind of like put a hand on his shoulder and he just whispers in his ear, "Have fun out there, kid." And then after the show ended, he received the news that he was no longer in the band. Like I said, I don't know how confirmed that is, but that is heartbreaking if that is true. That is literally one of the saddest things I've ever heard. I would put that. I'd probably pull up the image of the other iceberg and where they put it. I believe
I doubt he was clever enough to come up with that ahead of time.
Put it like in the 3rd layer or something. But I'd probably put it somewhere around the same. And one other one, this isn't from any other iceberg, this is something that that I thought should have been on there, was it was Funny Man. So similar to J-Dog, Funny Man, he used 2 different masks for Notes from the Underground. Well, I say 2 different masks, but it was just his American Tragedy mask because Funny Man's Notes from the Underground mask, it was a luchador mask and it resembled, I believe, it was supposed to resemble King Kong because that's his nickname and it has the King Kong on the laces like in the back and stuff. And reportedly, he didn't like this mask apparently. I mean, I have no problem with it. I did think it was the weakest of the NFTU masks, especially like when it's up to like when it's next to the curls or J-Dog, it definitely looks out of place. Everyone else looks like glowing and rustic and like I thought that was the theme they're going for with Danny, J-Dog, the curls, Johnny, and like even Charlie had like a gray kind of charcoal mask. And Funny just has his luchador mask, so it didn't surprise me that he didn't like it. But yeah, Funny has like a thing for the linen like cloth mask because I believe he said he didn't like wearing the hard one in Swan songs, which is why he doesn't. So he's used the cloth one so often. But
I wish I had a bandana because this thing sucks. Sweating balls right now in this thing.
Yeah, reportedly he didn't like the NFTU one that he had, so he just grabbed his American Tragedy one and he ended up using it for the remainder of the album cycle for live shows. I don't know if footage exists of him like actually doing that, but I've heard that's something he's done. And that's why the Day of the Dead mask looks so similar to the American Tragedy mask. They're pretty much identical, just different kind of like the logo on the side of the Day of the Dead one. And yeah, I honestly think that's the reason why they stopped wearing masks too. They just didn't like it. And that kind of hurts my heart that they stopped wearing their masks.
Yeah,
we've seen them. I mentioned
really
earlier in the Iceberg video about
really dumb to stop wearing the mask. It's like it's like the older you get, the more you should wear the masks, not the opposite.
My little crackpot theory of the dead bite mask, and I failed to mention that during the music video for Heart of a Champion, I believe, they actually show the masks that were inspired, and that kind of ruins my theory. I'm just gonna pretend I've never seen that. because I like my theory of one mask from every album. But yeah, after Funny returned to the hard like hockey mask for 5, I imagine they're like, it is too much, especially since they had the 3 different variants, and they decided to get rid of them altogether. I hope the stuff with Dead Bite leads to them like bringing back the masks, because I obviously HU isn't just their masks, they're much more, but it feels like it doesn't feel like it, like I don't know, it's like home, it's very homey to me. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah, I think that's all I have for this video. You know, HU, as I mentioned at the start, has been a part of my life for going on like fucking 6 years now, I think. As I listened to him in 2015, it's 2021. Like, yeah, 6 years. Long time, man. But yeah, this band, you know, as much as like my friends shit on me for listening to them, or like anyone else does, you know, rap rock is garbage or what have you. It'll always be special. Like, no matter how old I get to me, it was like one of the first bands I listened to. I feel like a lot of people feel that way. So yeah, that's all I have for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.
Oh boy, jeez. I'm so glad that's over. Oh boy. Anyway, all right. You fools. I'm gonna get out of here. I'm going to be doing a sleep token reaction next. You guys should stick around. Come back up and watch that shit. That song's allegedly pretty dope. Anyway, Uncle Shady out. Peace.